It's like being a big kid and being handed some sort of fancy water pistol. Good morning, sheep fans. Cammy's the name, sheep is the game. Today, we're worm drenching, we're on the Zolvix. We're going to talk a bit about Zolvix and how great a product it is and the reasons why I'm using it for my lambs. So I've got the lambs in here. There is, I'm not sure how many's in this mob, to be perfectly honest with you. I'll get a count of them as we do them here today. I'm going to keep some of the yow lambs at this mob just to boost the numbers up. Would I like to have bought in more yow lambs, but they're very expensive this year, so I thought a way of getting round that is I'll keep some of my Texel cross lambs out of the mule yow, which is what these are, bar the Jacobs there, very dirty one in the middle. These are all Texel cross lambs out of a mule yow, and you'll see some of them as we're walking around here. There is quite a few dirty bums, which would suggest there's a really bad one there, that Jacob, as I said. So it would suggest to me they're ready for another worm dose, and Zolvix is the perfect thing to give them here, because I know I've not done fecal egg counts and all those kind of things that you probably should do, but I can just see these lambs need wormed. And the great thing with the Zolvix is there is next to no resistance for it, so it should kill out all those worms that are in there that may have been resistant to previous doses, and it'll kill those resistant worms, which is what we want to stop them reproducing and making pastures too worm resistant. They're also going to be shifted in a couple of days after they've been wormed, so again it makes sure that the new pastures they go into are not taking any resistant worms with them. Let's stop wandering around in circles and get them in this pen and we'll get started. First thing we need to do is get the Zolvix. We're here at Taff Valley Dundonald. The good thing is I phoned ahead to the girls, told them what I wanted, no messing about. I bet you they've got it ready for us. Let's go. Oh, better put my mask on. Hi girls.
Hiya.
Is this my Zolvix here?
Yeah, this is Zolvix.
How convenient, it's like you knew I was coming. In Taff here, obviously new rules, we're being quite strict now because things are getting bad, so I'll keep my mask on. The good thing is, no one can understand me anyway, so it won't make that much of a difference. The girls here at Taff have done a Zolvix display, which apparently is in a competition. Have a look at this here.
I don't know why he's ounce before.
So I'll do this again. They've also done this clever Zolvix sign here, where they've got the gun as an L. How clever is that? Because it looks like an L. So clever. And they have this is my favourite part. This is my favourite part. They have this cube that they've made that's basically a way of working out how many doses per bottle and how much it costs per lamb, which is very clever. So let's just go to what I'll be dosing for. I'll be dosing for, this is the hard part though, is finding the right side. There we go. So I'll be dosing my lambs for 41 to 50 kilos, and at this time of year most of you would probably be about the same, some of you maybe more. So as you can see here, that's working out 79.5 pence per dose. Bear in mind that's dosing them at 50 kilos, and you always want to dose a little bit more. Well, you want to dose bang on if you can, but it's always better to do a little bit more than a little bit less. Let's go on, mate. So I'm making this vlog mainly about Zolvix, and it's not that, you know, I'm not trying to sell you Zolvix or preach about it, but I like making videos and I like making them about different things that might be interesting to you guys that you might not have seen before. And I know from speaking to boys at the market and other farmers I know, not that many people know that much about Zolvix. You will have heard of it now because they're really pushing the branding. You see it all the time. You walk into, I go to Tarf, as you saw earlier, me picking the stuff up, and they've got that wee display that they've done. Cracking display, girls, good work, hope you win your competition. But not many people are using it, I don't think. Comment if you are, let me know how you're getting on with it, or if you're watching this and you think you might start using it, leave me a little comment, let me know. Zolvix essentially is one of the newest products in the market. Worm resistance is massive. There's just so much worm resistance across the country. White wormers, you're up in the 90% resistance. Now white wormers are good, as I said in a previous video. Nematodirus, which is a short life cycle, white wormers are great for flushing them out. I use a white wormer, but as long as you know that's why you're using it, it's not for clearing out all worms. There might be some people who use the white wormer, still have a couple of bottles left or a bottle left, and when they go for a second dose, say give them another dose of the same stuff. I don't mind telling you that's wrong. Like, I know that's wrong. I go to these inputs quite, I've been to 3 or 4 of these inputs because it's good to keep going and refreshing your knowledge. and that is the reason, one of the reasons we're getting so much resistance is because people are dosing wrong. So I'm on here preaching. I say I don't want to preach but I'm on here preaching because worm resistance is going to be a problem for all of us. And that's why I've went to Zolvix, not because I have resistance, although I've not tested. I'm pretty sure I don't have resistance because my sheep do well. And it wasn't that I switched to Zolvix because my sheep weren't doing well or they weren't flushing the worms out. I went to Zolvix because I think it's the right thing to do for the greater good, and in the long term. So all my lambs this year will be getting the Zolvix dose. Doing them at this time of year in the back end, with the idea of dosing with this, it flushes them out, cleans them out. The pasture they come off, I'll put them back on there after this dose. They'll flush the worms out, and then in a couple of days I'll shift them onto a fresh pasture. That's another important thing as well, to save you taking resistant worms over onto clean pasture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my mate Kaz to give you a very brief, I've told him 60 seconds of what's in Zolvix and why it's so great. So here's Kaz.
Good afternoon sheep fans, it's Kaz here in Northumberland. Cammy's asked me to do you a bit on these newer types of wormers. Before I launch into it, I just want to say if you're a sheep keeper in the UK or beyond, first person you should really speak to about anything like this should be your vet. That's what we're here for, we're here to guide you through these things. By all means use this as a talking point. Anyway, I'll launch into it. So, if you worm sheep, you'll be aware that there are 3 main groups of wormers. Group 1, the whites, Group 2, the yellows, Group 3, the clears. And there's also a varying amount of resistance to those products, depending on where you are and what you've used in the past. Now, more recently we've had Group 4, there's the orange wormers, which includes Zolvix. Group 5, purple wormers, which includes a product called StarTech you might have come across. The active ingredient in that is Dequantel. And really, these are quite exciting products because they shouldn't be used as business as usual, absolutely not, but they do allow us to maintain the effectiveness of our older wormers where we haven't yet got resistance. And so we've got to use them in very specific ways. Again, best person to speak to about this is your own vet, because they'll know you, your farm, your stock, what you do. The principles of it are, first use is a quarantine dose. So whenever you buy a sheep, you're buying in whatever problems they carry. So that includes any worms they might have. If you buy a smart tup, he's got resistant worms within him, he's bringing that onto your farm, and that's going to cause you a headache. You can get around that by giving him a quarantine dose of one of these newer wormers. And also, remember with new sheep you're bringing on, you should yard them on concrete yards or a shed or some sort of facility like that as best you can for 24 to 48 hours. That's to stop them shedding any eggs from those resistant worms before they're killed by your quarantine dose. And the second use of these newer wormers is a mid to late season break dose for lambs. And what I mean by that is, it's for lambs that are born that spring. They may have had 1, 2, 3 treatments maybe of your older, more conventional wormers, the whites, the yellows, the clears, as I mentioned before. And the worms within those lambs will have started to build up a degree of resistance. So again, that late season dose could be weaning, could be a bit later. We're wiping the slate clean, as it were, with our orange or purple wormers, and ensuring that we have products are effective the next year. We're not slowly accumulating resistance. So as I say, if you're using these, quarantine dose and a mid to late season break dose for the lambs. That mid to late season break dose should be all the lambs, not leaving the best 10% or 20% untreated as well. I've attached some information, I'm sending that to Cammy, he should be able to share that with you. Hopefully it should be in the description. Over and out.
It's important as well to think, if we dose properly and listen to the advice, then the wormers that we have just now are going to work a lot longer. So another reason for me using this, rather than doing maybe a second clear dose, because for clarity, I do a white wormer, clear it and empty the iris, probably not much else. I then do a clear wormer, hoping to catch a lot of the other worms. I don't know all the fancy names and things. I just know that that's a good thing to do. And then for my third and final worm dose, Zolvix, because I'm not saying there's no resistance, I believe there is a case of resistance. However, there's next to no resistance, and certainly no non-resistance in my area, which means this should clear out everything, and that should hopefully mean that I can continue to use those other wormers, because we're killing resistant worms, keeping the pastures as fresh as possible. So Anyone who's watched a few of the videos will remember the previous one with Barry with the click bottle, turning it upside down to use it, because traditionally that's the way all bottles were for medicines, sheep medicines and such like. Whereas now with Elanco and Zolvix, they're really moving towards this, putting the tube down the centre of the bottle to the bottom, which means you can have the bottle upright. And my theory about why they do that is because how many times have we been dosing lambs with it on our back like this, and a lamb busts by and catches the tube, pulls the tube out, and before you know it you feel it running down your back and you've just wasted so much stuff. And at the price of Zolvix, although it's a fantastic product, it's expensive, you don't want to be losing any. So that's my theory as to why it's the right way up. I could go on about this Zolvix gun in every video of those sheep, but it's absolutely magic. It's worth every penny. Even just for, I honestly think there's, I mean the lambs look kind of stressed there, but there's less stress in the lambs because you're not having to get right round the front of them to dose them. You're just kind of coming in from the side. I mean they still know I'm here obviously, so I'm still going to do a little bit of jumping. But that's just sheep. As I keep saying, they're herbivores, so they're naturally programmed to be frightened. It's not that they've been hurt in any way here when they're jumping about like this, it's just because they're frightened. And there's no way to dress that up and say, oh these lambs love this. Like, you don't want them to be scared. It's just the way they're programmed. And if things like this can make it a wee bit easier on them, then all the better. So this is a good example here of one that's, I would say, is clearly needing a dose. It's not been tested, which would be, if you're just like by the book, an absolute legend of a farmer, you would have them tested. I haven't, but I just know from experience looking at a lamb that a dose with Zolvix is going to do it a world of good. It's fairly thriving. It's a big lamb, but I can see it's having a bit of a check and it's definitely needing dosed. So this should clear it up. One thing I will say about the tube going down the bottle, although yes it's great if the tube gets pulled out or something, it saves you losing any. When it's on your back and you're sort of leaning over and it's coming at a slight angle, it doesn't get all the drench that's left in the bottle. So what happens is this is now drawing air, but there's actually quite a bit left in there, but a good few doses left in this bottle. So what I'll have to do is I'll open the next bottle, start using it, and I'll top it up with this one, which is absolutely fine, but it's not ideal. It's maybe something for future improvement. So although these lambs have been dipped and don't actually need Crovect at this point, I have the gun here and it's a great chance to show you guys it working. Like, it's going to be good for this job when you're using 4 goes you need at the Crovect or click when you're doing the lambs. So it's 4 10mm goes. It does get a bit repetitive in your hand doing that for every single lamb. So a gun like this should be magic once we get it going. Oh wait, I'm doing the, oh man, I've just done the click. I've just done the click thing. I'm holding it like a bottle of click, but Crovect's still the other way up. I've not got round to that yet. Barry, I'm sorry for the slagging I gave you. We all make mistakes. Oh. This is the game. We are on to a winner here. How many are watching this just now thinking that looks magic, Cammy? Because it feels magic. Even the speed it reloads is pretty good. How good was that? Pretty cool, huh? All finished there, guys. I hope you found that one interesting. I hope I didn't come across too much like preaching to you. I just find all this stuff really interesting, and I think it is important. Like, I'm quite passionate about it because I think it is important that we learn about these things and we try and do the job right to safeguard the job moving forward in years to come. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment, anything you like, how you dose your ewes, or if you found that interesting. or informative. And as always, if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to the channel. The numbers are growing really fast and you guys are absolute legends. It's just so motivational for me, even in these months where it gets a bit more boring because I'm not away shearing and having a laugh with the boys all the time. I'm just working away myself at these kind of jobs. It's very motivational seeing the numbers going up and encourages me to keep making these videos. Anyway, I've went on enough in this one. Cheers guys. Right. You can sit there and relax. Honestly, you're standing waiting for me. It has to be natural. Hi girls.
Hiya.